Hi, everyone. This is the Encyclopedia channel. Let's chat in this issue. Hitler, the leader of the fascist Axis during World War II, although history has positioned him as a heinous person, on the other hand, his talents in some aspects are indeed surprising. Otherwise, he would not be able to lead an army of tens of millions to conquer the city. So, let's take a look at Hitler's most shining oratory talent. A long time ago, there were all kinds of content about Hitler on the internet at that time. I accidentally watched a complete video of Hitler's speech that lasted more than 10 minutes on a video website. In the speech clips we see now, Hitler is usually dancing and dancing very excitedly. But in fact, Hitler's speech was relatively calm in the early stage. He basically didn't mention politics to you at first, but first talked loudly to you about the current situation of the motherland, the poverty of the people, and the bread and butter on the table. Then he lashes out at the rich, the Jewish capitalists, for their potbellies, their callousness to the hungry poor. Then I will tell you how excellent the Germanic nation is, tell you what glory Germany has had in the past, tell you that we should be proud and always ready to defend our country. He will praise the Germans, and even the German youths. In the end, he will show his most excited side, arousing the determination and belief of everyone present through decisive gestures. To be honest, the feeling I felt at that time was shock, obsession, and even a little fear. Shocking and addicting, his speech is so inspiring that people can't help but want to puff their chests out. In the speech video, those Germanic young men and women also listened very seriously, and their faces were full of excitement and pride. In the entire large square with thousands or even tens of thousands of people, there was only one person's voice, and there was no noise at all. From the beginning to the end, no one could be seen whispering, and no one made any other actions. Aside from the sound of Hitler's speeches, there is only the loud cheers of the people at the climax. At this time, Hitler stopped temporarily, waiting for the cheers to stop, while straightening his appearance with a solemn face, and smoothing the folds of his clothes caused by the violent action with his hands. Wait until the cheers have subsided before continuing with your speech. And therein lies the fear. Because the speech he said really gives people the impression that he is a very wise and great leader. His face is serious and resolute, unsmiling, without any superfluous expressions throughout the whole process, which makes people respect, fear, and adore. Listening to his clear and loud words and crisp gestures, you will believe that this person on the podium is leading everyone forward. You will believe that he will lead everyone to a bright future. Of course, before I watched this speech, I also knew what kind of person he was, and I was vigilant before watching the video, but when I watched that speech, I also felt that what he said was the same thing, therefore, his speech was very inspiring, which made me feel a little scared at the time. After that, although someone told me that Goebbels' speech was actually better than Hitler's, and even Hitler's speech was drafted by Goebbels. But I still think that the content of Goebbels' speeches may be brilliant, but Hitler's speeches are terrifying, demonic horrors. Because I don't actually remember what the content of the speech was, but I always remember the figure of the speech, the serious face with a serious face, and those crisp and neat movements, which finally constitute a concept. Leader. I can't find a full video of Hitler's speech, but there is a speech copied by later generations. While it's not an actual Hitler speech, I think it does have a little of that flavor to it. So let me show you, you can feel a thing or two. Today, we are standing here. Standing on the land of the Germans, standing in Berlin, the land watered by the blood and dignity of our ancestors. Behind me is the statue of André Corleone, the recognized freedom fighter. He is the light of the world. In front of me stood a nation moaning in humiliation. After that war ended, the pride of our nation was gone. Those victors rode on our necks to dominate, they trampled on our dignity at will, the dignity of the most noble nation on the European continent. Tell me, do you choose to be a freedom fighter like Benjamin Martin, or a slave? You may say, Mr. Hitler, I need a job, a piece of bread. Yes, you are right, life is too important. But I want to tell you, there is one thing in this world that is more important than life, that is freedom. That is dignity. As long as the French flag is flying over Alsace and Lorraine, our dignity will not exist. As long as those French and British are rampant on our land, our dignity will not exist. On the map, this country called Germany is torn apart and weak, and our dignity does not exist. As long as people from other countries laugh contemptuously when they say the word Germany in a chat, our dignity will not exist. What we need is not a piece of bread. It's a living space. The living space of a nation. This living space is not achieved by begging and protesting, but by iron and blood. Others bully us, even the weakest nation tramples on us, we just scream, we express our strong indignation and protest. Such a person has no bones. Such a person is low. We should use the deafening sound of the cannon makes the enemy tremble. We should crush their dignity and life, and let them know that we are not a group of cowards who only know how to protest. You must remember that a country that only knows how to protest is a country without bones. A government that only knows how to protest is a government without bones. When our dignity, territory, and living space are being trampled on, we don't need a government that shamelessly protests. You will also abandon it in the end there. I'm very proud. Among you people, there are very few people without bones like this. In front of me is a legion of unyielding blood for thousands of years. This blood once flowed in the blood vessels of our ancestors. They never gave in. Now they're gurgling inside us. Tell me, would you like it to cool down? There are two things that unite people, a common ideal and a common crime. We have a great ideal engraved on the German flag, for which we will shed our last drop of blood. In Berlin today, there is nothing only this ideal can save our motherland. The Treaty of Versailles is a great disgrace. We have the determination and reasons to refuse to implement it. Do what you want. Just like Benjamin Martin took up the gun, just like he led his compatriots, held up the banner of freedom and fought bravely. If you want to fight, then fight. Then I can see whether you are 70 million slaves or 70 million unyielding Germans. If one day, I, Adolf Hitler, will be like Benjamin Martin, holding the banner of our Germany and rushing to the forefront. Even if I die in battle, I will enter heaven with a smile. I will see those Germans' glorious ancestors. I can walk up to the great Frederick the Great with my head held high, and I can proudly say to him that your descendants have not disgraced you, and I have shed the last drop of blood for the great Germany. We don't fight for slavery. We fight for freedom. We are not machines, we are not horses, we are people. We are Germans who have never surrendered. We unite in the name of freedom. Fight for a new, fair world. We fight for jobs for all. Fight for those who enslaved us to get off German land. For we don't need all-day fight with a cry of protest. Fight for our dignity. Fight for our promise. Fight for the liberation of this country. Germans, we fight for the glory of our ancestors. So that our children and grandchildren can proudly proclaim us it was the unyielding Germans who fought. My countrymen, long live Germany and the German people. Long live freedom. Okay, that's it. Are you shocked by his speech? You are welcome to leave a message in the comment area and discuss with everyone.